What if wearing a piece of clothing could make you beautiful but destroy everyone you love? Before we begin this amazing story, please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We love hearing from you, so tell us in the comments where you are watching from right now. In the small village of Ember Hills, there lived a young woman named Kemi. Kemi was not like the other girls in the village. While they had round faces and bright smiles, Kemi was thin and bony. Her cheeks were hollow, and her skin was rough from working under the hot sun every day. The village children would point at her and giggle. "Look at Kemi," they would say. "She looks like a dry stick." The women would shake their heads when she walked by. "Poor thing," they whispered. "No man will ever want to marry her." Kemi lived in a tiny mud house at the edge of the village with her old grandmother. Every morning, she woke up before the sun rose and walked to the yam farm. Her hands were covered in dirt, and her back ached from bending over the soil all day. But Kemi never complained. She worked hard and kept to herself. The loneliness hurt more than the hard work. While other girls her age gathered by the river to laugh and talk about the boys they liked, Kemi stayed home. She knew they did not want her there. She had heard them call her ugly too many times. One evening, as the sun painted the sky orange and purple, Kemi sat outside her grandmother's house. She was washing her only dress in a small bucket when she heard footsteps. An old woman she had never seen before stood in front of her. The woman's eyes sparkled like stars, and her smile was warm like fresh bread. "Child," the old woman said, her voice soft as a whisper, "do you know what special gift you carry?" Kemi looked up confused. "Gift? I have no gifts, grandmother. I am just a poor farm girl." The old woman laughed gently. "You carry an ancient blessing, child. Any man who marries you will become very rich, wealthy beyond his wildest dreams. But this blessing is dangerous. It must never be used for greed." Before Kemi could ask more questions, the old woman disappeared into the growing darkness like smoke in the wind. Kemi sat there, her heart beating fast. Could it be true? She did not feel special. She did not feel blessed. She felt alone and unwanted. Days passed, and Kemi tried to forget the strange woman's words. Then one afternoon, while she was carrying firewood on her head, she bumped into someone. The firewood scattered everywhere. "I am so sorry," said a kind voice. Kemi looked up and saw a young man with gentle eyes and a warm smile. His name was Ezra, and he was a palm wine tapper. Every day, he climbed tall palm trees to collect sweet wine that he sold in the village. "Let me help you," Ezra said, picking up the pieces of wood. Most people in the village ignored Kemi or laughed at her. But Ezra was different. He looked at her like she mattered, like she was worth something. "Thank you," Kemi said quietly, her cheeks growing warm. From that day on, Ezra found reasons to talk to Kemi. He would wave to her at the market. He would help her carry heavy things. He would tell her funny stories that made her laugh for the first time in years. The village people noticed. "Why is Ezra wasting his time with that ugly girl?" they asked each other. He could have any woman in Ember Hills. But Ezra did not care what they said. He saw something in Kemi that no one else could see. He saw her kind heart. He saw how hard she worked. He saw how she cared for her sick grandmother without complaining. One evening, under the big mango tree at the center of the village, Ezra held Kemi's hand. "Kemi," he said, his voice shaking with nervousness, "I know people say cruel things about you. But when I look at you, I see the most beautiful person I have ever known. Will you marry me?" Kemi's eyes filled with tears. Happy tears. No one had ever called her beautiful before. No one had ever wanted her before. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I will marry you." The village laughed at their wedding. "That poor fool," they said about Ezra. "He has married a stick figure. He will regret this." But Ezra did not regret anything. He loved Kemi with his whole heart. And Kemi loved him back just as much. They built a small house together and filled it with laughter and hope. For the first time in her life, Kemi was happy. She had someone who loved her. Someone who chose her when the whole world had rejected her. As Kemi lay in bed that first night as Ezra's wife, she smiled in the darkness. She had forgotten all about the old woman's strange words about blessings and wealth. She did not need riches. She had something better. She had love. But outside, in the shadows beyond their little house, the old woman stood watching. Her eyes glowed in the moonlight, and a mysterious smile crossed her face. The blessing had awakened, and soon everything would change. The morning after their wedding, something strange happened. Ezra went to climb the palm trees as usual, but when he came down, his basket was overflowing with more wine than he had ever collected before. The jars were so full they almost spilled over. "This is impossible," Ezra whispered, staring at the wine. "I have never gotten this much in one day." He took the wine to the market, and people fought to buy it. They said it was the sweetest palm wine they had ever tasted. By sunset, Ezra had sold everything and his pockets were heavy with money. More money than he usually made in a whole month. Kemi was chopping vegetables when Ezra came home. He poured the coins on the table, and they both stared in shock. "How did you get all this?" Kemi asked, her hands shaking. "I do not know," Ezra said. "But something wonderful is happening." The next day it happened again. And the day after that. Within 2 weeks, Ezra was the richest palm wine tapper in Ember Hills. He bought new clothes for Kemi. He fixed their house and added new rooms. He bought goats and chickens. Everything he touched seemed to turn to gold. The village people stopped laughing. Now they stared with jealous eyes. "How did that fool become so rich?" they whispered. "It must be because of that girl he married. The old stories must be true." Women who had mocked Kemi now smiled at her in the market. Men who had ignored her now greeted her husband with respect. But their eyes were cold. Their smiles were fake. Kemi felt uncomfortable with all the attention. She remembered the old woman's warning about the blessing being dangerous. But Ezra was so happy and they were so comfortable now. Maybe everything would be fine. Then came the storm. 3 months after their wedding, dark clouds covered the sky. Thunder roared like angry lions. Rain poured down so hard it felt like the sky was crying. Lightning split the darkness with bright white cracks. Ezra kissed Kemi goodnight. "Sleep well, my love," he said. But in the middle of the night Kemi woke up. The bed beside her was empty. "Ezra," she called out. No answer. She searched the whole house. She looked in every room, behind every door, under every piece of furniture. Ezra was gone. Vanished like he had never existed. Kemi ran outside into the rain, screaming his name. "Ezra! Ezra, where are you?" The villagers found her the next morning, lying in the mud, soaked and shivering. They took her home, but Ezra never came back. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. No one found any trace of Ezra. It was like the earth had swallowed him whole. The village people began to whisper new things. "That woman is cursed," they said. "She made her husband rich, and then something evil took him away." Kemi cried every night. The money meant nothing without Ezra. The big house felt empty and cold. She would have given everything away just to hear his laugh again. But then something unexpected happened. A man named Femi came to her door. He was a fisherman, strong and confident. "Kemi," he said, "I know you are sad. But I can protect you. Marry me, and I will keep you safe." Kemi did not love Femi. But she was scared and alone. Maybe the old woman was wrong. Maybe Ezra had just run away. Maybe she could have a normal life again. She married Femi. And just like before, wealth came pouring in. Femi's fishing nets caught more fish than anyone had ever seen. He became rich in just 2 weeks. Then, on a quiet Tuesday night, Femi disappeared too. Just vanished from their bed while Kemi slept. The village erupted in fear. "She is a witch," some people shouted. "She eats her husbands," others claimed. But there were still men who wanted the wealth. Greedy men who thought they could outsmart whatever was taking the husbands away. They married Kemi one after another. Each one became incredibly rich. Each one disappeared within months. After the fifth husband vanished, Kemi could not take it anymore. She locked herself in her house and refused to see anyone. She cried until she had no tears left. The money piled up around her, but it felt like poison. Every coin reminded her of someone she had lost. One night, as Kemi sat in the darkness of her empty house, she heard a knock on the door. She opened it, and there stood the old woman from years ago. The same sparkling eyes. The same mysterious smile. "Hello, child," the old woman said. "Are you ready to understand your blessing now?" "Blessing?" Kemi cried. "You call this a blessing? Everyone I love disappears. I would rather be poor and ugly forever than live like this." The old woman nodded slowly. "The blessing was never meant to bring you happiness, child. It was meant to bring wealth. But I can offer you something different now. Something that will change everything." She reached into her bag and pulled out a piece of clothing. It was old underwear, worn and faded, but it glowed with a soft golden light. "Wear this," the old woman said, "and you will become the most beautiful woman anyone has ever seen. Men will love you for your face, not for the wealth you bring. But you must never ever take it off. If you do, terrible things will happen. Do you understand?" Kemi stared at the underwear. Part of her wanted to throw it away and slam the door. But another part of her, the part that was tired of being alone, tired of losing everyone, tired of being blamed for things she could not control, reached out and took it. "I understand," she whispered. The old woman's smile grew wider. "Then your new life begins now, child. But remember my warning. Never take it off." The old woman disappeared into the night, and Kemi stood holding the glowing underwear. Her hands trembled. She did not know if she was making the right choice. But she was desperate for change. Desperate for something different. She put on the underwear and went to bed. As she closed her eyes, she felt a strange warmth spreading through her body. Tomorrow everything would be different. She just did not know if different meant better or worse. When Kemi woke up the next morning, she felt strange. Her skin felt smoother. Her body felt different. She walked to the small mirror hanging on her wall and gasped. The woman staring back at her was not the Kemi she knew. This woman had smooth, glowing skin like honey. Her eyes sparkled like diamonds. Her hair shined like silk in the sunlight. Her body was perfectly shaped, not too thin, not too big. She was breathtaking. She was stunning. She was the most beautiful woman she had ever seen. Kemi touched her face, and the woman in the mirror did the same. "Is this really me?" she whispered. When she stepped outside her house, the entire village stopped and stared. Mouths dropped open. Eyes went wide. People could not believe what they were seeing. "Is that Kemi?" someone asked. "Impossible. What happened to her?" Within hours, news of Kemi's transformation spread through Ember Hills like wildfire. Men came from neighboring villages just to see her. They brought gifts of gold, jewels, and cattle. They wrote her love poems. They sang songs outside her window. Rich merchants proposed marriage. Village chiefs offered her anything she wanted. Young men fought each other for her attention. Everyone wanted to be near her, to touch her, to own her. But Kemi noticed something terrible. When these men looked at her, they did not see her. They saw her face, her body, her beauty. None of them asked about her feelings. None of them cared about her heart. They wanted her like people want a beautiful painting or a shiny jewel. One man named Taiwo was particularly persistent. He was wealthy and handsome, and he showered Kemi with expensive presents. But his eyes were cold. When he proposed marriage, Kemi saw greed in his smile, not love. He said no. Taiwo became angry. "You think you are too good for me," he shouted. "You are just a cursed woman who got lucky. Without that face, you are nothing." His words hurt more than any insult from her ugly days. At least back then people were honest. Now everyone lied. They pretended to love her, but they only loved what they saw. Weeks passed, and Kemi grew more miserable. The beauty that was supposed to save her had become a new prison. She could not trust anyone. She could not tell who was real and who was fake. The loneliness she felt now was worse than before because she was surrounded by people, yet completely alone. Then one evening, as the sun was setting, a man appeared at her door. He was dirty and thin, wearing torn clothes. His face was covered with dust from traveling. "Kemi," the man said in a shaky voice. Kemi's heart stopped. She knew that voice. "Ezra, is it really you?" The man nodded, tears rolling down his cheeks. "It is me, my love. I have finally found my way back to you." Kemi threw her arms around him and cried. "Where have you been? What happened to you?" Ezra told her an incredible story. A jealous man from a neighboring village had kidnapped him on that stormy night. The man wanted to steal the blessing by removing Ezra and taking his place. Ezra had been locked in a dark room for all these months until he finally escaped. "I traveled day and night to get back to you," Ezra said. "But you look so different. What happened?" Kemi told him everything. About the other husbands who had also disappeared. About the old woman and the magical underwear. About how the beauty had brought her nothing but pain and fake love. Ezra held her hands. "Kemi, when I married you, you were thin and rough-skinned, and I loved you with my whole heart. This beauty is not you. It is a curse, just like the blessing that brought wealth. You must remove it." "But the old woman warned me never to take it off," Kemi cried. "She said terrible things would happen." "Terrible things are already happening," Ezra said gently. "You are not happy. You cannot trust anyone. This is not the life you deserve." As if she had been waiting for this moment, the old woman appeared at the doorway. Her eyes were serious now, not sparkling like before. "The young man speaks the truth," she said. "The underwear was a test, child. Test to see if you would choose real love over false beauty. Many women have failed this test. They wore the underwear until it consumed them completely, until they forgot who they really were." "What should I do?" Kemi asked, her voice shaking. "You must burn it," the old woman said. "Take it off and burn it in fire. Only then will you be free. Only then will the curse on your husbands be broken." "Yes, child, all 5 men who disappeared are alive, trapped by the magic of your blessing. When you burn the underwear, they will be set free to return to their families." Kemi's hands trembled. She looked at Ezra's kind face, then at her reflection in the mirror. The beautiful woman staring back at her suddenly looked like a stranger. Pretty stranger, but a stranger nonetheless. She made her choice. Kemi went into her room and removed the underwear. Immediately, she felt the beauty draining away. Her skin became rough again. Her body became thin. She returned to being the old Kemi, the plain Kemi, the Kemi that the village had mocked. She brought the underwear outside and dropped it into the cooking fire. The flames turned bright gold as the underwear burned. The smell of magic filled the air, and the fire roared like a living thing. As the last piece of fabric turned to ash, Kemi felt lighter, free. Like heavy chains had been removed from her soul. Ezra looked at her and smiled. "There you are," he said. "There is my wife. The woman I fell in love with." Over the next few days, something miraculous happened. The 4 other missing husbands returned to Ember Hills, confused but alive. They had been trapped in a foggy place between worlds, held by the magic of the blessing. Now they were free. Kemi and Ezra left Ember Hills and moved to a quiet village where nobody knew their story. They built a simple life together. They were not rich anymore. The blessing's power was broken. But they had something better than wealth. They had each other. They had trust. They had real love. Kemi learned that true beauty was not in how your face looked or how perfect your body was. True beauty was in kindness, in loyalty, in choosing love over everything else. The world might value appearance and wealth, but real happiness came from being yourself and being loved for who you truly are, not what you look like. And she lived the rest of her days in peace, never regretting the beauty she had given up, because what she gained was worth so much more. Thank you so much for watching this story. If you enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up and share this video with your friends and family. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you never miss our amazing stories. We would love to hear your thoughts. Tell us in the comments what you learned from Kemi's story and where you are watching from. Your support means everything to us. See you in the next story.